You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. All right, folks, this week in Washington, D.C. is called D.C. Statehood Week. And folks in Washington, D.C. have been on Capitol Hill pushing them to address the issue. Now, this week, House Democrats held the first hearing on D.C. statehood in 25 years. The bill, the Washington, D.C. Admission Act, was introduced by Democratic Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton. She, of course, is D.C.'s non-voting representative. Here's an excerpt from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's testimony before Congress.
And I'm honored to be here today to ask Congress to act upon the request of my residents to admit Washington, D.C. to join the United States of America as the 51st state. I want to be clear, I'm not here to talk about one person, but about 702,000 Americans who deserve full representation in this House. I was born in Washington, D.C., and generations of my family, through no choice of our own, have been denied the fundamental right promised to all Americans, the right to full representation in the Congress guaranteed by statehood. Over the years, there have been a lot of arguments against statehood. You're too small, they say. But we're bigger by population than 2 states, bigger than all states but Oklahoma at the time they were admitted to the Union. And what's more, we pay more federal taxes per capita than any state, and we pay more federal taxes total than 22 states. You're badly governed, they say. In fact, we do a better job than most states. We have a budget of $15.5 billion, which we have balanced 24 times in the last 24 years. And we already do the things that states do. We operate our own schools. We manage state Medicaid programs. We receive federal block grants. Like states, we issue driver's licenses, license plates, and birth and death certificates. We regulate banks and insurance companies, operate our state-based affordable care marketplace, and we enforce environmental regulations. For the purposes of thousands of federal laws, we act as a state, and we do it well. The Constitution forbids it, they say. That one is simply false, as constitutional experts have repeatedly proclaimed. Or D.C. can't be a state because the Constitution requires a federal district. The Constitution sets a maximum size of 10 miles squared for the federal district, but it does not prescribe a minimum size to qualify for a federal district or statehood. I'm sure we'll hear some of that again this time, but let's face it. These are bad faith arguments by people who really oppose statehood because they think it will mean 2 Democratic senators. The fact is, denying American citizens a vote in this body that taxes them goes against the very founding premise of this nation. And yes, it is true that we are more brown and more liberal than some of you. But denying statehood would be unfair no matter who was affected. It would be unfair if we were conservatives from a rural district built around agriculture or an industrial city in the heartland. This is America, and Americans are entitled to equal protection under the law, and that's why we are demanding statehood. It should not matter what our politics are.
All right, folks, joining us right now is Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. Glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm going to start this way. Go to my iPad, please. This is a headline from May 2010 in Newsweek. Is Ohio the most corrupt state? I'm starting that way because this week Republicans were trashing D.C. saying, oh, y'all can't be your own state because you can't handle it because you're too corrupt. Yet, if we want to, I would dare say, if you had to rank probably the 3 most corrupt states, Louisiana, Illinois, Ohio. What the hell?
So I had to remind Jim Jordan, who is
from
Ohio, who is the ranking member of, as they spoke, elected members of their state government being prosecuted for corruption. So who is he to, what we say called paint the turn the kettle black?
In fact, if you go to my iPad while we're talking, this is from the Cleveland.com. Corruption in Northeast Ohio. This 21st century rogues gallery violated the public's trust. All of these folks right here, you see, all got hit with corruption in Ohio. Jim Jordan.
So it doesn't lie in his mouth to speak against democracy, and that's all we're asking for, full representation for D.C. or any place else. Those are the kinds of roadmap or props, really, that they are throwing up. But Roland, let me assure everyone, because we now have two historic back-to-back assurances. First, we had a historic hearing. First time we've ever had that hearing. Today, we got 218 votes, enough to pass H.R. 51, the D.C. statehood bill. We're coming. And when we get it passed in the House, Roland, we'll be more than halfway there. So watch out for us.
Now, D.C. was close a few years ago, am I correct, of getting representation. I think they were trying to add a person in Utah.
Yes.
And then
There we went for a House vote. It would not have been a full Senate vote. And actually, we got that bill passed through the House and the Senate with a House vote for Utah, which had just missed getting one in the last census, and a House vote for D.C. We would have that vote now, be on our way to statehood, except that the National Rifle Association attached what we call a rider, an amendment that would have wiped out every single gun safety law in the District of Columbia. Had to leave that vote on the table. This time we're picking it up and going for the Senate.
How offensive is it to essentially live where D.C. operates, or the federal government operates as D.C.'s mama and daddy? That you have to go ask them for permission. And then, of course, you've had to fight Republicans and Democrats who have toyed with the District of Columbia. I remember when they had the voucher program, Republicans put that in, and then Obama pulled it out. Then they played around with abortion. I mean, it's like you got folks who want to play ping pong with D.C. when they feel like slapping folks around.
Yeah, that has been our fate. But it's all over now. We control the House. And they have put in what we call riders, must have been 6 or 7 riders. Since January, we were able to get all of them out. That's why it has been so important for us to establish control, because Democrats don't operate that way. And then we go into the Senate, which is still controlled by the Republicans. But Roland, you will look and see that many of them are in jeopardy. That's why we're not much worried about 2020, because we're going to do much better there. And if we capture the Senate, look what we'll have. We will have D.C. statehood in the House and on our way to getting it in the Senate.
Well, I think it's certainly overdue, and of course to have the mayor cut right to the chase and put race on the table, not dancing around it.
Yeah, she put it on the table because it's always been there. But it's not going to be anything they can do about race now. And the fact is, I don't know what they're going to do about the fact that for most of its 218 years, most of those years, white people have been the majority in D.C. In those years, we all remember them in the 70s, 80s, 90s, blacks.
It was called Chocolate City.
Yeah, Chocolate City, and blacks became predominant in many large cities. But guess what? D.C. once again has more white people than black people. What you going to do for us now?
Well, I say Congresswoman, keep up the fight. We'll certainly keep covering the story. D.C. deserves statehood, and it'll be nice if Congress would actually pay attention. And they should get over this whole issue of potentially having 2 black United States senators, because there's a whole bunch of sole white states in this country that got no chance of electing a person of color as a United States senator. So they'll deal with it.
And we will.
All right, Congresswoman, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, November 7th through 11th, we're going to be in Los Cabos, Mexico for the Life Luxe Jazz, the second annual Life Luxe Jazz experience. It's going to be phenomenal. We're going to have, of course, great music over 4 days, golf and spa. We're going to sit here and, man, you talk about food, you talk about libations, also known as liquor. It's going to be loads of fun. So while people are freezing in the Northeast, let's go hang out in Mexico. I'm going to be doing Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday in front of a studio audience. Y'all can all come join us. So come hang out with me and so many others. It's going to be absolutely great, of course. We're going to be at Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez. They're in Los Cabos. The great people we got lined up for you, folks. Amazing. Of course, comedian and actor Mark Curry. Of course, Gerald Albright, my frat brother, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band. Going to have the gospel experience with Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles. Some new hotels have opened up. For more information, go to lifeluxejazz.com. That's lifeluxejazz.com, lifeluxejazz.com. You want to book it now, of course, to get your package, but also you want to have much cheaper airfare as well. And so, trust me, it's going to be an absolute fun time. I cannot wait to go, and trust me, you want to do it as well. lifeluxejazz.com.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.